Hey guys, we are live. Thanks so much for tuning in today. I am so excited to bring today's guest to you, Ella Mae. Ella Mae has been a chief strategist here for a long time, for the last couple of years actually. Her fame right now is Insta fame in Instagram. We're so excited to have her. She's the CEO and founder of it, and she's here to talk about all good things Instagram today. How you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you as well. So tell us, Ella, tell us your elevator pitch. How do you help people?
Totally. Yeah. I help businesses and entrepreneurs learn how to grow and, more importantly, monetize their Instagram. So not only do they know how to get in front of new people, but they're actually making a rate of return from it as opposed to just paying to be popular.
Hey, we like rate of return, don't we? All marketers, all business owners want definitely money coming back in the door. So that's a good way to turn around and get profits back in. What's the most important step starting on Instagram? So many people right now are kind of in maybe the beginning stages. What's the first step to starting?
First and foremost, you have to add value. Your page has to have it doesn't need to be one purpose, like a YouTube channel where you only talk about one specific thing. But what you want to think about is, if I go to your page and I don't know you, I'm not a friend, a family member, anything, why should I stick around? What's in it for me that I get from your content? And as humans, like, we're diverse, right? Like, we have work, we have our family life, we have our hobbies, we have so much stuff going on. So it's not like you need to only stick to one thing, but the premise has to be, this page is here to add value to the people that want it.
I love it. So many people just post things for the sake of posting, right? And I really believe good content comes back to getting someone a result, right? When someone can get a result,
exactly,
you end up having a customer or a follower for life as a result of that, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
You bet. So if someone hasn't been posting regularly to their account and, they want to start back up, what do you suggest they do? Do you suggest that they start on the same site, or do you suggest they start a brand new profile?
Oh man, starting a brand new profile is a ton of work. Like, unless you are really you really don't like because you can change your username. With Facebook pages, if you wanted to change the name of Facebook page, I've seen clients have to provide affidavits to do that. Facebook pages are they're brutal. Instagram's totally different, right? You can change your username. You can update your bio every 2 seconds if you want to. So I would say, if you want to do a clean out of your current account, I've done that before. And just maybe take out some posts that, are super old, aren't relevant. Maybe it's you partying 5 years ago that you don't want on there anymore. But I would say I would definitely go for an account makeover versus a new account creation. A new account creation is a lot of work. Same thing with maintaining 2 accounts. One of the things I see one of the questions I get all the time is hey, should I have a business account? And it's well, if this was LinkedIn, totally, because I'm on LinkedIn to learn about your business, right? So if you've only had a personal page on LinkedIn for some reason, then yeah, have a business page. But on Instagram, I'm there to get to know you. I can go to your website to see your offers. I can go to LinkedIn to learn about your business. I want to get to know you on Instagram. So business pages tend not to do very well. Even pages like Nike, Apple, Adidas, massive brands that need their own page, their engagement isn't very good just because it's cold. I don't want to buy from a company. I want to buy from a person, right? So if someone hasn't been putting content up or hasn't been active on it, what I would say, honestly, because posting can be kind of intimidating, it's one of the things that's very easy to procrastinate. There's 8 steps to it. What I take 2 years.
Get into that.
Yeah, what I would say is, if you want to just get active, I would just start doing stories and engaging. So put a reminder in your phone. I still have a reminder in my phone. I teach this, and I have a reminder in my phone that goes off 3 times a day that says do an Instagram story. So I go into the app and I actually do a story, right? So I would say start doing stories consistently, whether it's 1 or 3 a day, whatever, and engaging. So just jump on the app, set a timer for 30 minutes if you're worried about being at time suck. if you're worried about it being a time suck. I talk fast sometimes, by the way. If you need to, let me know. So if you're worried about it being a time suck, set a timer for 30 minutes on your phone or whatever, and go through your feed, as well as find people that would fall into your target market. It's either people you want to connect with or you would like to have as clients or whatever, and comment on their stuff, like their photos, follow them, start conversations over DMs. I would say get consistent at that for like 2 to 3 weeks. Start to see what happens. Because when you get that momentum, it's really, really motivating. When all of a sudden you're making connections, things are happening, you're moving people over to your email list or to your Facebook group or whatever you have going on, then it becomes really easy to be like, oh, cool, I'll just throw up a post today. And you don't have this overthinking mentality because you've got the momentum going.
That's great tips. There's a bunch of value there. How would you, and I could go into a bunch of them, but one of the things that you mentioned was really DMing people and direct messaging them. Give us maybe a tip of how you would direct message someone, because I know there's a wrong and a right way. And so many times I'm sure just like yourself and like I do all day long, I get spammed in my DM, and it's kind of one of those things I want to kind of stay away from. So what's a good way if you're reaching out to someone to actually put in your DM to add value?
I love this question because it's something that I think is not talked about enough, and it's so powerful. So like you were saying, we've all gotten the message from like that person we just follow that's like, hey, at Sheldon Clausen, like, thanks so much for following me. Here's a link to my new 100K roadmap. Thanks so much for blah, blah. And you're just like, dude, I don't even know you. And you're asking me to like watch your YouTube video, jump on your email list, like get out of here. It's kind of like being on a date where like, I mean, the women will relate to this and the dudes, where like, you're like halfway through your first glass of wine and the dude's like, hey, we good? We good? Like we can go to my place. It's like, no, Kyle, I'm not good. Like, I don't even know you, right? And that's kind of the feeling when you send something like that to your new followers. It's like, I don't even know you. And you're asking me for all this stuff. Plus, Instagram is a casual connection platform. It's not the place to sell. You will not have success trying to sell on Instagram, especially not initially, right? So with DMs, probably the most powerful thing you can do, and if you only do one thing, do this. When you get a new follower, send them a DM. We have split tested like probably 100 of these. This one has always worked the best, the longest. It's been so consistent. Send every new follower a DM that says, hey, exclamation point, thanks for the follow, happy face emoji. So why? A, nobody thanks people. So people are just like, oh, wow, thanks for thanking me, right? B, you're not asking for anything. You're just being thoughtful. Right? The reason this is so powerful, especially if you have a business or a side hustle or whatever, is because you like think about a skincare clinic. Okay? Every skincare clinic in the world has come in for your free consult. How many, I mean, Sheldon, you're around a lot of women, right? And dudes. How many people do you know have gone in for a free consult somewhere with no intention of buying anything?
So many times.
Yeah, it's like, but why, right? Because like, it's intimidating. Right. So if I'm going to come in for a skincare consult, I probably don't know that much about skincare if I'm coming for a consult. I don't know if you're trying to sell me what I need or just what you want to sell me. I don't really know what your price points are. And I'm also in your playground. It's intimidating for me, right? And even if I don't buy anything, I'm going to feel bad because I took up your time. Mm-hmm. So you want to think about it like when somebody goes to your About Me page on your website and puts in a request for a 15-minute call with you, it's intimidating. That's why not many people do it, right? Because they're taking up your time. Maybe they don't even know what questions to ask. Like your dream customer might not even know that they need you, right? So when you go somewhere like DMs, which is your customer's playground, this is such an amazing place to open up a very authentic conversation. So let's say, for example, Sheldon, you followed me and I see my notifications and I'm like, hey, thanks for the follow, you know? And you're just like, oh, wow, yeah, no worries. Thanks for thanking me. And then I could be like, oh, hey, by the way, I saw your post, your daughter's super cute. Love what you have going on. You can then reply and be like, oh, thanks. That's super nice of you. By the way, I noticed that you do Instagram. Like, what's your main jive with that? Like, what goes on there? And I'd be like, oh, cool. Well, I mean, I do this. Where are you at with things? You respond. We're having a whole consult over DMs. And here's the beautiful thing. You think you started that conversation because you replied to the thank you. Yeah. But I just thanked you, right? So and then again, Instagram, not the place to sell. I never have and never plan to close a sale over DMs. It's like being at a house party and trying to sell when everyone's just trying to chill and have a good time. People will be like, dude, chill, have a drink. Stop pitching everyone, right?
Relax, exactly.
Yeah, like chill. So what I want to do is I have lots of conversations over DMs for people who it's a good fit for them to come into my Facebook group or onto my email list, or maybe do a 15-minute call with me. Like there's a really good fit there. I'm going to move them over to a different place that's more appropriate to go more in depth around the sale. Again, like it's sort of like a second date, right? Like second date is different than the first date. You don't do the same thing. So having that, you want to have that transition where you go, and same thing, if anyone here is an influencer work, you know the exact same thing. Influencer work is never closed over DM. It's always moved to email, to a call, etc. So the goal is to get them qualified people off the platform using DMs to a place more appropriate to have a more in-depth conversation.
I'm glad you said that, Ella Mae, because so many people they think that their main selling point or their main selling feature is Facebook. And I don't know anyone who's gone on an Instagram the same way. I don't know that anyone's ever gone on Facebook to go and buy something or to purchase something. Right? You go to Amazon to do that. You go to Facebook to get entertained, to find value, to find education, right? And from there, by all means, you can move people over to your platform. But no hard sale is ever done on the Facebook platform or Instagram platform. So I'm glad you brought that up.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, like we all see sponsored posts and ads all the time. It's not like you can sell on these platforms. What I'm talking about is more the long game. I'm talking about creating raving fans, higher end clients where they're just exposed to you enough. They're given enough value by just being on your platform, seeing your stuff, that even if they don't work with you, they'll refer people to you. They'll you'll be their go-to person for your expertise because you've positioned yourself as a leader in your industry. So sales can work, don't get me wrong, because we're like not talking ads here, but day to day, yeah, like I'm bringing anybody who could be qualified to work with me, especially on a higher level, to a call. Because also I'm interviewing them. Like I want to see if I'm going to work with someone or have them in my group training program or one-on-one, whatever, I want to make sure we're a good fit on both ends.
Absolutely, right? It's so important. So many people just want to work with everyone, and it's important that you really target into your key target avatar to be able to help the right people to be able to deliver the right message at the right time, right?
Exactly,
so,
yeah.
One of the things you also mentioned was influencers, and of course, influencers are no bigger place than Instagram, right? Mm-hmm. So what's the best way that influencers and marketers are kind of using the platform right now?
Ooh, I mean, right now it's a weird time, right? Like, I'm not sure when this will be released, but we're coming up to the phase 2 reopening from COVID, at least where we are here in Canada. And I would say, like with Instagram right now, organic reach on Instagram is kind of crap. Reason for that, Facebook owns Instagram. They want to keep running political ads, and it just means they have to be super, super careful with any kind of inauthentic activity on the apps, on the platforms, sorry. So organic reach isn't amazing. Here's the thing about influencer work that I think gets missed a lot is more now than ever, it really doesn't matter how many followers you have. What matters is how dialed in your audience is to a certain niche and engagement. One of my friends owns a very successful influencer marketing agency where she matches brands with influencers and influencers with brands. Her highest earner last month, $55,000 in commissions, had 2,200 followers. Yeah. Dialed in though, companies are lined up to work with this girl because her audience trusts her, right? And for a reason, she's selective about who she works with. So when it comes to influencer work, obviously, you need to be in some sort of a category. So if you're in lifestyle, are you in like parenting lifestyle or fitness lifestyle or et cetera? Like you need, like if it's marketing, right? Like if I'm a company, I need to make sure I'm making more money from you than I'm paying you. And that's the bottom line. So even if you have like 1,000 followers, but you've got 1,000 followers who follow you every day for your fitness tips. And let's say I'm a supplement company and I'm like, okay, cool. I found you. You seem cool. You got a high engagement. I'll promo you a couple bottles of like glutamine or whatever. And then in exchange for you to share them with your audience, you share them with your audience and I make 6 sales from that one bottle I promoed you, that 1 or 2 bottles. That's a great rate of return for me. You can now come back to me and say, hey, Ella, it was so much fun working with you. As you can see from like the tracking we did, if you got this type of exposure, we made this many sales. I would love to do another partnership. I would love to do another paid partnership. Now you can start asking to do paid partnerships because you've shown them you can get them a rate of return. So obviously, if you're going to do any kind of influencer work, you want to target what the people in your audience would probably buy, because that would give you success. And also, you really have to have the trust factor with your audience. Like if I'm going to buy something from an influencer because they recommend it, I really need to trust that they have my best interest at heart. Absolutely. They're not going to sell me garbage just because they're being paid a lot to do it. And this goes back to adding value, right? So if I've already gotten so many good tips from you and maybe I've implemented 1 or 2 and it's worked for me, I'm going to trust you when you tell me like, hey, I really like this thing, or this thing works for me, or whatever.
Absolutely. And I would rather have 1,000 raving fans than 10,000 fans who don't really care, right? And who aren't engaging, who aren't sharing. It's just all for show, right?
Totally. And more now than ever, brands are becoming really, really smart to this. So a lot of brands aren't even really looking at follower count. They're looking for engagement. Follower count is a bonus.
Absolutely. They're looking for the authentic self, right? And really, the personal branding has gone to new levels as well at this particular point. As you said, people like to do more business with people they like, know, and trust than just a business name or whatnot, right? So it's so important that influencers, that business owners, that anyone really kind of brings their personal brand to the forefront to be able to turn around and represent their business. And I think that's so many people are so focused just on their business that they kind of forget that personal branding aspect of it, which really brings the authenticity to it, in my opinion. So
yeah, in today's day and age, you really want to think of yourself as like a media company, comma, whatever you do. Like Gary Vee is the king at this. Like Gary Vee has a killer personal brand, and then he has his wine store, and then he has his media company. They're all extensions of his personal brand. But when you're able to have a personal brand, you build that trust, you build that authenticity, you can lead people lots of different ways. This is how Taylor Swift changed genres and set records in 2016, a time when everybody got stuff online for actual album sales, because she had the trust and the authenticity of her audience. Right? So having that is so vital, and it allows you to pivot with a lot of grace. It doesn't need to be this hard stop and this big ramp up again, which is expensive and annoying and time consuming and all of it. So it really will pay off long term.
Yeah, love what you said there as well. Now, have you heard of loop advertising? I know this is kind of something that's come up in some of the conversations that I've had with influencers, kind of getting involved in a loop conversation. Have you heard of it? Pros, cons?
You mean like engagement groups?
More of, I may understand it a little bit differently, but how I understand it is it's really just and it may be a pod as well, just of turning around an influencer in order to get your following up. Yay or
turning to an influencer to get your following up?
Yeah, I've just heard of
like a giveaway.
I've heard of giveaways part of a loop, right? Okay. And how like Kylie Jenner's doing it. I've heard of a couple of other big names doing it to be able to turn around and kind of shout you out. It's just a different way of influencers are making money off their personal brands. And I've heard influencers are actually getting paid up to like $40,000, $60,000 for shout outs, those types of things in these groups. So that's why I was wondering if you've ever heard of it, pros and cons, right? So it's something new to me. And I was just like, I'll ask.
I haven't heard that term, but this definitely isn't new. So what I would say for anybody who's considering maybe a company out there, or maybe someone individual who's considering paying someone to run a giveaway with them or get shouted out by them or whatever, again, you really want to bring it back to rate of return. So for example, this is a huge example, but like if I'm going to pay Kylie Jenner to do a shout out for me or to do a giveaway with me or whatever, just have me in her conversation, I better have a way to make money off of teenage girls, right? Because that's who buys her makeup primarily, is 16 to 25-year-old girls and women, right? So that my product, my brand, my service, whatever, needs to appeal to them. Because I think where we get the shiny object syndrome is we're like, oh, you can do this giveaway if this big influencer's got 150,000 followers. Cool. Are their followers in line with what you need? You got to think like a company here, right? If you were in charge of the marketing budget for a big company, would you get in trouble for making this decision? Do they have your demographic? Because what'll happen a lot of the time, someone will do a giveaway with a big influencer, and the requirements for the giveaway are follow me, follow them, tag, blah, blah. So they get a bunch of follows, which they're stoked about, but they're just looky-loos. They only drag down their engagement, or they just unfollow afterwards because they're only in it for the free stuff and there's no alignment with audience. So I would say, especially if it's something where my guess is most people listening would have to make an investment to be part of this or to have it like generate any real results, I'd be very, very specific, ask a ton of questions, get insights sent from them, and make sure that they have your audience. And this would really you can clearly see how you'd make a rate of return from this. Not just be popular. Don't pay to be popular.
That's high school, right?
That's high school. We all did that.
We're past that.
Yeah, it's over now.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought that up as well, right? So pay to be relevant, not to be popular, right? So that's great. Speak to my audience now more about the power of hashtags. We talked about it a little bit earlier, right? Is there a certain number? Is there a way to find them? What's the best practice when using them?
Yeah, so hashtags, you can use up to 30 hashtags in a post. I used to be the biggest advocate of using all 30. It's 30 ways to be found. We're finding now that using all 30 actually decreases your reach. It probably just looks kind of spammy, and so don't use 30. So what I do and what I recommend that works quite well is I split my hashtags up into 3 sets. So the max I usually use is 24. So this is 3 sets of 8 or 3 sets of 7 or 3 sets of 5 or whatever, however many you want to use, right? So the first set is I want to think about what would my dream if Instagram's search bar, that search bar at the top, if that was the Google search engine, what would my dream client be typing in if they needed me? People are never looking for us, they're looking for their solutions. So this might be, right? They need their problem solved. And everyone's the same way, right? Like I'm never like, oh, I'm going to go find a specific person. Like I don't know who that person is, right? So I'm going to be looking for like content creation, like hashtag content creation, like business content creation, small business content creation. What would your dream client be searching if they needed you? So that's your first set. Okay. Second set, photo relevant. This is super important. It always has to rotate. With Instagram, they have really, really sophisticated photo recognition software, like the same way like my phone unlocks when it sees my face because it knows my face. Instagram knows what's in that photo. So that means if you hashtag Kim Kardashian on a picture of a mountain, that photo is not going to show up for Kim Kardashian. Why? Because Kim Kardashian's not in that photo. More importantly, people looking through hashtag Kim Kardashian don't want to see a photo of a mountain. You're not helping Instagram with keeping people on the app, right? So they're like, well, screw you. So it won't show up for that hashtag. It might not show up for all your hashtags. So photo relevant always needs to rotate because copy and pasting the same hashtags is not a good idea. It just can decrease your reach. So those should always rotate based on what's actually in the photo. This would be like family, kids, nature, beauty, whatever, right? Whatever's really relevant. Mm-hmm. The next set, you want to think about and again, this is very catered towards businesses, but the next set you want to think about what relevant conversations is my audience probably participating in. So for example, last November was the first year Victoria's Secret canceled their fashion show due to lack of diversity in the company. So if I was in fashion right around that time, I would have been really, really smart to hashtag Victoria's Secret fashion show, diversity in companies, diversity in clothing, diversity in women's clothing. I know my audience is probably hanging out in that conversation. And again, those might be bigger hashtags because we've all gotten warned. Again, it's using bigger hashtags, but they can be really, really powerful because you meet your audience where they are.
Love it. Love it. There's so many tips. My kids are in the background. You can hear. So
I'm like, are they in the wall?
I know, right? Are they actually in it? Are they? No, they're behind it, as you can see.
That's okay. Everyone's kids are home.
Yeah, I know, right? It's just how it is now. We've gotten accustomed to it and everything else. So it's no different here, right? So those of you that have kids, it's all good. It's all okay, right? So yeah. So is there anything different or what things should we do when it comes to advertising on Instagram, maybe that you wouldn't do on Facebook? Is it pretty similar when looking at the platform?
I mean, that's a big question. And I'm not an advertising expert. I don't want to give the impression that I am. The main difference between the platforms is Instagram. Like, okay, so Sheldon, let's say you like just came across me on Instagram randomly and you message me on Instagram and you're like, hey, I like what you have going on, blah, blah. I'm like, cool, thanks. And I look at your profile and you seem nice, but you're basically a stranger. Right? Like, I don't really know you. Maybe you're followed by some of the same people who follow me, but that doesn't mean you know them, right? Facebook, if you were to DM me on Facebook, and let's say we'd never crossed paths, and I go to your Facebook profile and I'm like, oh, holy shit, we have like 45 mutual friends and it's my entrepreneurial crowd. Like, this guy's legit. So Facebook, you generally have the trust factor. That's there. You don't have that on Instagram. That's why you have to keep it lighter. Instagram's where I get to know you. Facebook's where I like take your advice, right? You can have a more in-depth conversation there because the trust factor is pretty established. So I would say, honestly, any platform right now, video is performing way better than anything else, especially if you're going to be putting money behind it. I would make sure that your video on it, some videos that are like selfie videos do amazing, but make sure there's subtitles so I can read it, even if I can't, because a lot of people are like on Instagram, like, you know, on the bus and with their friends or whatever. So make sure I can read it if I can't turn the sound on. But in terms of actual advertising best practices, I'm not the one to speak to you about that. Organic growth is way more my jam. But I would say focus on video.
Perfect. I love video, right? Video by far on any platform is far more engaging. You can get more statistics off of it. There's just much more you can do with video content than you can in print. Not saying that print isn't valuable. Print is very valuable, right? Especially in the copywriting world. I know that's where you come from as well, right? So copy is king, but it's valuable to be able to bring that to video, to be able to bring your personality, to be able to bring your smiling face to it, and for people to be able to really interact with the real you, right? And
video's copy. Like, don't, like that's, like you should have some, strategic thinking behind that of, hey, how am I going to speak to, like, how am I going to really relate to the person I'm trying to speak to? Get them to watch past 3 seconds, etc. And a video doesn't have to be you. This is also like a big thing is people are like, oh, well, then I have to go on video and it's like, no, you can create like a doodly video that illustrates your thing as you go. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be you. I don't know the stats, so like, don't quote me on this. My educated guess is it would perform better if it's a human, but I don't know. There's probably exceptions to that. So if going on video absolutely terrifies you, but you need to create an ad, just do something on Doodly or whatever first. And
absolutely, or even slideshows, with text overlays and stuff like that. Those are really
or just a
popular,
VSL, right? Where it follows the words. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many different ways that you can turn around and get creative in that as well, right? This is a personal question that I have that I've always had a problem with when it's come to Instagram is how do you add white space to your copy? What's the easiest way to achieve that? Are there tools or how do you do that?
What do you mean white space?
In your actual copy, when I actually write it out on text message or whatever the case, it ends up just looking like a big piece of blob content.
Yeah.
And when that happens, it's very daunting. People don't read it. So what I like to do and what I teach people to do is always add white copy to it. But on Instagram, for whatever reason, I've never been able to figure it out. Is there a trick to it? Is there a to it?
Oh my God. Yeah, it's so easy. So I just put a link in the chat. You can share this with the video. So this is what I use most of the time. It's just a website and it literally has a text box in there and you enter your caption. You can copy it from wherever and just put it in. and you put all the faces, all the emojis, whatever you want in there, and you just copy it to clipboard, and it'll and then paste it on your Instagram caption, and it'll post perfectly. They've also created an app called Spacey, I believe. I'll put it in the chat. So those, and I'm not sponsored by these guys. I don't work with them. I just love their product. So Spacey, and I believe it's like $5 or something. Like it costs less than some coffees at Starbucks.
Coffee, yeah.
And if you don't want to bother with desktop, the desktop doesn't bug me because I usually do most of my stuff from the computer. But yeah, and that way you can do it. But yeah, it's so simple. You just use that.
Fantastic. I'll definitely go and
doing it directly in the caption field. I don't know of any way that you can ensure there's no like coding you can put in. I don't think. So I use that.
I've tried like entering and dots and like all this other stuff, and it just always looks like a bad mess, and it just frustrates me, to be very honest.
Totally.
So I understand that. I'm going to use that tool. I'm going to recommend that tool to all my peeps as well. And go
use it. Right? It's great.
So, you bet. So now with Instagram, where your predictions, I'd like to know, where do you see Instagram going? What's next for the Instagram platform?
They're going to have to do something. TikTok is really doing well. And I love, as a user, I haven't created, I need to like step up my content creation game on TikTok. But as a user, I love TikTok. Anyone here who hasn't used TikTok and you're kind of like, what's this thing? And you download it, full disclosure, you're going to go in the TikTok vortex. You're going to remember what it's like to be in high school. You're going to laugh at that. And you will like look up and it's been 2 hours. This is why they've done so well. Their ability to keep people on the app engaged is incredible. So, and actually it's a good idea, even if you're just going to be a ghost on there, go on there, because they have some really cool video creation tools, video reaction tools, and Instagram has already integrated versions of these. They're already beta testing them. So it'll give you a preview of what's to come. But to be honest, I think Instagram, something needs to step up a little bit with it. I don't know if it's going to be more of maybe having a video side to the platform. But I'm noticing a lot of people I know, especially in the influencer world, are veering, and even businesses are veering towards TikTok. It's lighter, it's funner, the engagement, the time people spend on it is higher. And they've hit 1 billion downloads in a year. Like they're becoming a monster. So yeah, in terms of predictions, I mean, they're not going anywhere. Instagram and Facebook are still beasts. So they're not going anywhere. I think what I would be focused on right now, and it's what I'm focused on right now, it's what I recommend, with the reach being lowered, the organic reach being lowered, and everybody knows this, everybody's seen their engagement go down. I would focus on showing up and serving your community on every platform to the highest level possible. I'd be like, how can I step it up? How can I add more value? How can I position myself as the expert in my industry? And like, if you go to my page, I don't know when this will be released, but if you go to my Instagram page, you'll see I've been doing like a 60 to 90 second video every single day, because we can't really do photo shoots right now or whatever. And I'm like, well, damn, I can't just like not have content. And I'm like, whatever, I'll just do videos. If I hate them, if they're not like pretty enough, I'll take it down. But generally they've been getting really good reactions, and I've just been doing like a tip type thing every day. And I feel really good after I do it. So I would say whatever platform you're focused on, show up to a whole new level. And when we get the organic reach back, probably after the 2020 US election, when that starts to level out, it's going to be a different ball game. Like you will skyrocket because you'll have your reach back. You'll begin in front of more people. And then when new people go to your account, they'll be like, oh my God, how did I not know this person existed? That's exactly what I mean.
How'd I miss him, right? Or her?
Yeah, like how did I not know this was here? So I would say regardless of what the platforms decide to do, you'll never lose with that strategy.
You bet. Ella, it's been great. I'm wrapping up here, just a few more here. I want to know about your course, but before I hop over there, I really want to know, like, is there anything that's really on your mind right now that's kind of been sitting there that you've been thinking about, dwelling on, that you really kind of maybe want to share or get off your chest when it comes to Instagram? Maybe what would that be?
When it comes to Instagram, to be honest, what I would say is, because it's mainly entrepreneurs that listen to your stuff, correct?
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah. So what I would say, even if I was like a brick and mortar business, I really don't see people utilizing the supporting platforms very well. So Instagram is what's called an open platform, meaning I can follow you if I don't know you. That's socially acceptable. I can DM you if I don't know you. I can find you from a hashtag, open. Facebook, closed. I need to friend request you. You need to approve me. That's a closed platform, right? So what you want to do is have an open platform as your main social hub. So this could be Instagram, Pinterest, or Twitter. These are all open, depending on where you're in. Have an open platform as your main hub for the connection aspect. But what you want to do when you connect with using DMs, when you connect with the right people, so you need somewhere to bring them so that they can get more of you in a more intimate setting, continue the conversation. This is a Facebook group. Facebook groups are killing it right now. My Facebook group, I love it. I wish I would have started it a year earlier. It's so much fun. So I really recommend a Facebook group. This could be LinkedIn. It could be it doesn't really matter the platform, just that your audience is hanging out there. So I would say do everything you can to optimize Instagram. That's your connection tool. But have somewhere you can bring people if they're not ready to close, but they want more of you. So use this. I know it's kind of a weird Instagram tip, but use your supporting platforms well, where you have them in a more intimate environment.
I love it. Because absolutely you need to take them there and you need to drive them someplace, and that's your closed environment, right?
Yeah.
You control all of the variables, like a science experiment, right? You drop different pieces in front of them and just make it happen that way. So yeah. Fantastic. Now, last and not least, but tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now, what you're creating. I'm very curious, right? I know you're creating a beast of a program when it comes to InstaFame and Instagram. Tell us about it and where we can find it and all that good information.
Totally. So I run a group training program called InStream Academy. It's an 8-week live group training program. We're running potentially the last one in October. So I'm not sure when this will be released, but just so you know. And that's going to be created into an evergreen course, which I'd say anyone who's thinking about creating a course right now, run it live before you film the course. Get real world feedback. I mean, we ran a lot of them. This will be our 9th cohort in October, but in that time, it's completely changed. It's gotten so much better. I'm super excited for it to go evergreen. So right now we're really waiting on the filming for that. So that'll be done hopefully as soon as we enter phase 2-ish. I don't know. We shall see. But yeah, so creating that. And then also we just launched a membership program, which is really fun. I tend to launch early and course correct along the way. So the membership program is very much by invite only right now. It's a much lower price point. We do an office hours call once per week where I can answer questions. They get in-depth trainings as well. And it's just kind of really fun invite only that runs out of a Facebook group, which works really well. We haven't really set it up properly or launched it or anything yet. So that's in the works, but I'm really, really enjoying it. I know it's something I'll continue because I have a lot of fun with it. It's really great people. It's a great crew. They're all moving forward so quickly. So that's the main focus for me right now, and just getting things more evergreen. That's my main focus at the moment.
Automation is king, isn't it?
Automation once you have proof. I would say, because people think automation is king. I'm just going to create all these done for you. And it's have you even talked to your audience? Do you have any idea what they actually want, or if this really, I would say automation once you have data.
Right. When you can move to automation.
Yeah. Not like one article you read, real world data where you've actually talked to people, you've interacted, they've paid money to be taught this thing live. I would be careful with that because we fall in love with our own idea. We hole up in the basement, spend 7 months creating this perfect course and nobody buys it. Yeah.
That's the biggest mistake I see entrepreneurs make all the time, right? Is they've never done the back work or the legwork to see if it's even going to be a course or if people are even interested in it, right?
They don't interact, right?
No.
And at the end of the day, when we're hey, why don't you just put this, before you invest all this in filming, why don't you put this out there live? Because I'm freaked out. Because that's scary. And it's do you think promoting a course is going to be any less scary? How, you got to do webinars. You got to be on it. You're going to be on podcasts. No, this will be the easiest thing you do compared to the marketing launch of a course.
Yes, that's a pro tip right there as well, guys, right? Like that's highest of high levels is most internet marketers where I see them is they go and they launch before they've even created the course to see if there's even interest.
The audience.
Right? Yeah. Or the audience to find it before they even have it. So before they start creating it, they already have people paying for the course. And it's so smart when they do it that way because they have the money coming in, they can produce it at that particular point, and they can show results.
Yeah, more importantly, you have testimonials. And one thing I want to, just because we're on this train, if someone here is listening and you're like, okay, I'm going to do it, I'm going to create my ebook or my course. I wish someone had told me this before I did my first product. Enjoy the creation part. That's the easy part. The hard part is the marketing. Once the creation part is over, you're not done. Now you're getting into the work. So don't stress yourself out in the creation part, plug away at it consistently, but have fun with it. Chill, know that you're coming into the work. You're not done. When that's created, you're not even close to done. You've got like another good chunk, a good hill to climb.
Yeah,
after that. And I wish someone had told me that because I was like, nobody tells you that the creation part is the easy part. Nobody tells you that the marketing is the hard part.
Getting it out to the people and the right distribution chains to be able to find.
And how to do it, right?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Do I do ads, right? And that's why like having advisors around you is so important. Like,
absolutely. So appreciate you coming on. Where can they follow you, Ella Mae?
Totally. I'm always on Instagram. It's at ella.j.mae. All my information is on my website, ellajmae.com. Sheldon has all my links. So links to the Facebook group, my LinkedIn, all the podcast, everything. So I'm sure he'll post those below or in the notes somewhere. But I would say Instagram is a place I hang out. I'm the only person in my account. It's always me responding. Shoot me a DM on there. But yeah, that'd be the best. And thank you so much for having me. I had so much fun here.
Thanks so much. It's been my pleasure. Have a great day.
You too.